All right, everyone. Welcome inside the historic Franklin Field. I'm Paul Hoff-Mahoney here with Eric Jenkins, Aisha Pratt-Lear, and Anderson Emerald. We're here for day one of Grand Slam Track Philadelphia, and what a day it was. It's only the third meet we've had for Grand Slam, but in a way it's the start of a new era with the condensed format, dropping the 5K this week. And so we have 2 days, 11 races each day. We saw all but one group today, and 11 for 11 on facility records in a stadium as historic and iconic as this one. Great day, Eric. What are your kind of immediate takeaways from the first day?
First off, Paul, wow.
Yeah,
Chris, you're fired, dude.
Just stay home. I don't know where you're at.
Yeah. I was like, I don't even know what to say. I was like, wow, this guy's good, man.
I've been thinking about that intro for 3 days now.
Absolutely, it was brilliant, man. Really, really good. What do I think of that? As soon as you get in, the energy of Penn was fantastic. We've been talking about every single meet they've been building upon the last one, and this third one felt even better than the last one. Really good. The crowd turnout was fantastic. For such a big stadium as this one, and it was packed. The home straightaway completely packed. Great energy throughout. Obviously, the athletes, they're going to take care of it. They're going to speak for themselves. The performances, of course, when you get the best athletes in the world, it's going to be great. But yeah, the energy in here today was fantastic. I'm excited to see what tomorrow holds.
Yeah, even the back straight looked like by the end of the meet, it was about 2/3 full, maybe.
Yeah.
It was packed in here, really loud for every race. Aisha, I know you were in the content creator zone, kind of underneath the stadium, but from the mix zone, from the content creator zone, we could hear the energy all the way in there.
Yes, we could. Today felt like professional sport. The slams they've been building, we're like, okay, the concept is really interesting and the athletes are happy, but walking up to the stadium, Paulie and Eric and I walked up here in the rain, lines, people just waiting to come in. Everyone is buzzing. It felt like you were walking up to an NFL game, that pre-event jitters. Everyone's excited. People are getting their beers. People are getting into their seats. Today felt like sort of the realization of what Grand Slam has been looking for, and it was awesome.
Yeah, Anderson, the fields for this one, we were so excited for them. Kyle did a really great job of pulling in some challengers with some really interesting storylines. What was kind of the highlight race for you today?
Oh, man, the highlight race. It's tough to say. There were so many. We were talking about, the men's 200 with, Kenny B, Melissa Jefferson, going crazy. Even the women's 3K with Agnes, I side by side to the stuff like that really, I think, brought what we want out of Grand Slam track. We've been seeing it for the past couple slams, but with the stadium kind of, filled up in a sense with both sides of the stadium, fans got their money's worth here. Fans really got their money's worth. So I don't know. I didn't answer, but there's so many.
Really good political answer. I'll dodge it in the best way.
My favorite race was about half of them. Before we kind of get into the races, it's tradition now. We need a content creator zone breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
How'd it go for you guys today?
Honestly, pretty well. The content creator zone here is incredible. We're in a stadium seating zone with comfy chairs. It's dry down there. We've got a great screen that we can watch. So all of those bugs got worked out, which was incredible. We somehow locked down a Kenny B interview. I think we feel pretty good about it, because are we always hyping Kenny at every moment? We're not. We're hyping his performances, but sometimes, we think maybe he wants to kick our butts. But he came in, he delivered for us.
Well, but also, again, we were in the exact opposite spot as we were the last couple, because we had the first pick of the athletes as soon as they got done with the mix zone. So they weren't quite they weren't sick of all the media yet.
Yeah.
And so, because before it was like we were at the very end, they really didn't want to talk to us. But now it was like, okay, well, we were first at bat as far as content creators go. So it was great. And the situation down there, yeah, it was stadium, like
We're living like kings.
leather stadium seating. Yeah, you couldn't have asked for a bet, and it was also empty. There weren't as many content creators down
Maybe
there.
we scared everyone
It was almost
away.
like, wait, does no one care about content creators anymore? Where are you guys? So yeah, it was. We had the whole room to ourselves.
One incredible snafu was we finally got Agnes for an interview, which we'd been trying. We'd been trying to get her the last 3 days in Miami, and man, she's slippery, hard to lock down. We get her today. Doesn't want to sit down for the interview. So
No, it was sick.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So she comes in, and we're having everybody sit next to us and watch the replay of the race, and she's like happy to talk to us, but no sitting.
Yeah, he goes, hey,
She's got to go cool down first.
You go, you want to sit in the middle of us? And she goes, I'm not. No.
and I thought like, but so we're gonna watch your race back. Do you want to sit? No.
It was like, oh, I'm happy to talk, but I'm not going to sit.
And neither of us are AV professionals. Like, we don't know. Like, Max sets up everything for us and is like, okay, idiots, just push the button and record. And all of a sudden, I'm behind the camera. I'm like, all right, how am I going to get her in? I don't know how to lock it down. So I'm like holding, the camera's on a tripod. I've tipped the tripod back.
This is like
and
real life reenactment.
Reenactment. Tip the tripod back so I can get Agnes. I'm like, Eric, you got the interview. I got the camera.
This is actually exactly what happened, yeah.
I don't get Eric in the shot at all, but I'm leaned back and I get Agnes. Incredible interview, but it was a bit challenging.
I had to shoulder the whole interview. I guess I was like, I'll take it, I guess. She's like, I'm happy to do camera duty.
I panicked, but we did our best.
No, I think overall, long-winded answer to your how was the content creator zone? It was awesome, Paul. Yeah, it was great. Can't complain.
All right, well, stay tuned on CITIUS Mag and Grand Slam Track's social media channels to see how well Aisha was able to get Eric and Agnes in the shot over the next couple of days, I guess.
She didn't get us in the shot. She cut me out again, man. I can't get one interview where I'm in the frame.
I think like Eric's pinky finger makes it in for like 1/2 second, but beyond that, it's just Agnes.
Aisha's like, stand behind her, maybe? Yeah.
All right, well, now we'll get into the races, and we started off with one of the more intriguing race groups coming into this one with the women's long hurdles, I should say.
Yeah.
Because obviously you have Sydney dropping down to the short hurdles, which makes this one wide open. You had Jasmine Jones and Shamir Little, both racers, coming in. We don't really know how fit they would be. Shamir was racing in Miami, but she wasn't necessarily very happy with where she was at with her fitness. And then Jasmine, this was her first slam. So Jasmine ends up finishing second at 54.65.
Yep.
But it's Anna Cockrell coming in as a challenger, running 54 flat, 54.04. Anderson, what did you kind of see out of Anna today in her Grand Slam debut?
I think with Anna, she was on the outside, so she didn't have to worry about anyone in terms of pacing off. She was like, I just need to go. And I think she proved why she'd already been having a great season. She'd run 53.8 this year already. She'd broken the American record in the 300-meter hurdles. Like, she has been on one, and this just kind of continued that trajectory. She's the Olympic silver medalist from last year, so clearly she was, at least on paper, the best in this field. But Jasmine Jones, I was pleasantly surprised by Jasmine. The fact that this is her season's opener. Chris Chavez had spoken with Joanna Hayes, her coach, and talking about the injuries she's gone through. So listen, this was an amazing, amazing race across the board for Anna and Jasmine.
Yeah, for Jasmine, just the injuries that Joanna Hayes had talked about that she had been dealing with that kept her, she was maybe ready to go for Kingston, something popped up. Maybe ready to go for Miami, something popped up. She comes out here, and 54.6, that's a really solid opener. Another thing Joanna had talked about was the fact that she's she's so young in her 400 hurdles career. She's already the 5th fastest woman ever,
of all
Olympic
time.
4th placer. And this is just a really strong opener.
It's crazy opener, yeah. And now you have also, shout out to Anjanette Knight, who's in 3rd place, Dalilah Muhammad, who was right behind in 4th place as well. Dalilah did really well in Kingston. Now going into tomorrow, I'm excited to see how the 400 plays out. Anna Cockrell is not a 400 runner. Jasmine Jones is not a 400 runner. They're kind of like unknown. Anna had run well in the 400 earlier this year, but that's going to be interesting on how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, Anna, one of the craziest stats I've seen in the past couple months is that her flat 400 PB is slower than her 400 hurdles PB,
crazy.
which
It's
just
wild.
doesn't make sense. I think they should let her try and run with the hurdles. Maybe that'll make her run faster.
That'd be crazy.
And then Jasmine, yeah, she's never run a flat 400.
Never
before,
run one.
So really kind of an unknown quantity in there.
Yeah. So that'll be good for tomorrow. But this was a good competitive race, and I think it's still up in the air who can actually win the entire slam. Because again, Anna is an unknown really in the 400. Jasmine is an unknown. Someone like Anjanette Knight could really step it up and actually maybe get a few points on the board. I don't know. That'll be an interesting dynamic for tomorrow.
Yeah, and then we move into the men's long hurdles.
Yes.
I like the schedule tonight because it was like the men's and women's race groups were kind of going together. You had both the long hurdles races go, then there was a distance race, then it was like the short sprints, distance race, long sprints. I like the way they set that schedule up. For the men's long hurdles, it was Allison DeSantos winning again. He's now 5 for 5 in this race group. But Trevor Bassett ran really well, 48.25. Allison was 48.11.
He stepped up. So even before Trevor, with Allison, like you said, he is undefeated in Grand Slam track in all his races. But specifically here, he was actually talking about how the setup of the track, because like the inside lanes are not necessarily 400 or whatever it is. So he was saying how he was like running up on the hurdles, and like the construction of it didn't like favor him really well. It was a little confused. So he just like ran through. He almost like kind of stuttered his steps a couple times, he said. But then once he got to the finish, he knew he was like, good. He just kind of like jogged it in a sense. But he was comfortable. He was very comfortable. I don't think anyone's beating him tomorrow in the 400. But I don't know. Allison is like really competitive. But shout out to Trevor Bassett too in that second place.
Yeah, for Trevor, he was dealing with some injuries coming into the outdoor season. I think he was originally kind of in talks to go to Kingston, I believe is what he said. But then he had to kind of end that. But he signed with Adidas, got delayed. So it's been a really good season for him. Miami, didn't necessarily go the way he wanted. Then he comes out here. He's never run this fast before, this early in the season.
Yeah.
So it's really building nicely for him. And, I mean, the big three kind of played out in Paris the way we thought they would in this event. But if Trevor can get back to the 2022 shape that saw him get on the podium at Worlds, I believe.
Yeah, then he'll be dangerous. I also do like the fact that Trevor is like quietly a really, really good 400-meter runner. So him coming second here is going to bode well for tomorrow, because if he can get second in the 400, he might be looking at an overall second place behind Allison. I remember that he's a world indoor silver medalist in the 400. He's run on the 4x4s for the United States at World Champs and all that. So he's in a good position for tomorrow to like rack up some good points.
Yeah, absolutely. So both those long hurdles are going to be really interesting 400s, as they always kind of are.
Yeah.
And then, all right, so moving on to the men's short distance now. This one maybe had the most exciting challengers when you look at 100, nothing changed. It's Marco Arop. 143.3. Went to the front early, held on to the front throughout the rest of the way. I mean, it's not really different from the way he ran in Kingston or Miami, but what did you guys kind of see out of Marco that you liked in this one?
I mean,
can we address this for a second?
Yeah.
I feel like we're just like kind of talking around it for a second.
Marcus G2L. It's about to downpour on us.
the Doppler line.
But I don't know. I think we're
right.
kind of like in and out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got a lot. As soon as we addressed it, it got a lot.
It got better.
Yeah, as soon as we start
back
talking a little shit,
off.
it's all right.
Yeah.
No, Marco is really just the guy in the 800 right now. We watched it, then we talked with him afterwards in the zone, and he was really patient that first lap. He was talking about, he's like, with how Josh Hoey's been running this year, he wasn't sure like what his first 400 was going to be like, if he was going to be challenging for the lead, and you kind of saw Marco run a bit not tentatively, but just kind of feeling out the first 300, seeing like what Josh wanted to do. But he said, I think they came through in 52, which is, for them, very conservative. And he really poured it on that last, 200-300. Ran incredibly strong. And it's now because it's been 15 first, and he's having to, deliver the similar performances, but on a bit more tired legs. It's better for, now he's in the driver's seat, going into the 15 tomorrow, 10 points. And yeah, Marco's 12 points. Yeah. I'm like back on old scores. He's the guy. But again, like Yared's running incredibly well in these 8s. Like you saw Kessler go, and he was aggressive, and he tried to run, his race, but ran out of legs at the end of the race, like you would assume with this fast pace. But Yared, man, he is really improving over the 8, which has to do just numbers for his confidence going to these 1500s. So
when you look at the field and you look at the results, it doesn't tell the full story, right? Like Marco did win, he did dominate, but he showed so much finesse today, and he showed why he is the champion, why he is far and away, one of the best 800-meter runners of the current, quadrennial. And he just made two. They didn't go out terribly fast, but he did sort of wait on Hoey. He waited on Hobbs Kessler, who ran like a maniac today. I love to see Hobbs sticking his nose in with the world indoor champion, Olympic champion, just like holding the rail under the tutelage of Ron Warhurst. That's something that's really important for them is strong positioning. But Hobbs really made the second pack sort of pull towards. So it to me looked like 2 races, which was the Marco, Josh, Yared, and Hobbs, and then the rest of the field. So I do think that Yared and Hobbs have separated themselves from the 1500 guys at this point.
Yeah, for Hobbs, you talked about him being on the rail. In my interview with him yesterday at the press conference, he referred to himself as a rail merchant, I believe, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah. Cole Hawker's like, sure about that, bud?
But
so it went Marco, Josh, and then
Yared, Hobbs.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the mix zone interviewing someone, and I just kind of glanced up, and I see Marco way ahead of everyone, and then Josh, and then Yared running down Hobbs, coming to the line. And I know Hobbs was kind of fading a little bit because he went out really hard, but that was just really impressive from Yared. And he talked a little bit about how much more comfortable he's getting in the 800. And it wasn't as fast as he ran in Miami necessarily, but this is his best finish points wise in the 800. So
which for a 15 guy like himself, it just puts him. Now if Kerr wants to repeat as a slam champion, he's going to need a win, and he's going to need other guys to really finish farther back. He's going to hope Yared's off. He's going to really hope that Marco doesn't figure this 15 out tomorrow. This was, again, like you were talking about, the challengers in this is so interesting, and it's really I love this distance, but it's incredibly exciting. And tomorrow for the final is gonna be really, really fun.
Josh Hoey to me is such a question mark for the 1500. I think he is going to be really dangerous, and the 1500 meter runners better come to play. Just if you leave a guy that can has incredible speed like Josh, then he might be the slam champion.
Because he ran in that race, he ran indoors where he beat Grant. They ran 3:30.
I think 3:33. I think he ran 33.
Yeah, so he's got really solid 1500 credentials from this season, and the 1500s we've seen in Kingston and Miami haven't been anything that looks out of his range necessarily.
Certainly not. No, he could if he has the form that he's had throughout the season so far, he will be in contention for sure.
Yeah, but then when you look at the same way Yared has kind of progressed in the 8 at each slam, Marco's progressed that same way in the 15, it feels like.
100%.
So.
Oh, yeah, no. Look, Marco, if there's anybody who, at some point is going to deserve a Grand Slam champion victory, it's Marco. It's really just, and again, we were talking to him, and it seems like the more 15s he runs, the more comfortable he's going to get. And at some point, it's going to click. He's going to figure it out. And we'll see if tomorrow's the day.
A lot of respect to Marco. He wants to figure out the 1500. We're not necessarily seeing that from every competitor. If it's not their thing, they're happy to do their best and whatever. But Marco seems like he's watching the tape. He's trying to figure it out, and he's willing to put himself out there for the 15.
He also did the mix zone twice.
Oh yeah, I was confused.
He went. Yeah. There's no one who's doing more media than Marco. He came through the whole zone, right, and then he's like, "I'll see if they want to chat again." He literally, and
He did. He
he's
did.
like, he's used to the 800. He's like, one more. He's like, bell lap for media.
I was so confused.
I'll run it again. Yeah.
We spoke to him already. He came back around and he looks at us as if like we didn't have a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're good.
he's like, a couple more. You got something for me. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
We're live?
We're taking the
Oh,
camera.
yeah.
We're
walkie
going on
talkie.
the
This
road.
is fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're going on the road. We talked about doing this for the morning show in Miami.
We're making
now
it a
we're
reality.
making it happen.
We're
making
live.
it happen with the
So,
post-race
This is
show.
fun.
This is
Yeah, this
really
is
fun.
good.
We're going on a field trip. The skies look ominous.
Yeah, the skies look very, very ominous right now.
Our dogs.
Not sure
Got it.
where exactly our destination
I
is.
think we're heading to the tunnel.
In
Right?
the
Going into
tunnel.
the tunnel. Okay, so imagine you're racing Grand Slam track. You come out of this tunnel to my left. You come out, the stand is packed. You're ripping it down the home stretch. You feel like a gladiator. The crowd is going wild.
Right.
That's what it feels like to be a slammer.
This is the same path. We're going. We're going the reverse path that Anna Cockrell walked coming out here, going to lane 8 before she won her 400 hurdles race today.
Right. Hey, we're rocking with it. No, it's all good. Yes,
If we could do some analysis while we're walking.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
what
I'm
do we got
curious.
next?
Paul, take it
so,
away.
so Josh Kerr.
Yeah.
There's 2 Joshes. It's getting a little confusing. Josh Kerr and Cole Hawker finished 5th and 6th in this one. How do you kind of like? What are your kind of takeaways from, I guess, the like quote unquote backpack
Well,
finish?
I was actually I don't know if there was like a little bit of like confusion with like the break-ins and people cutting it at different
Wouldn't be
points.
surprising at Penn.
Buddy.
I'm like, oh no, I'll keep going.
Like, no, I'm just talking off camera. Like,
you actually want Eric on camera this time?
Yeah, come here.
What a shocker, Aisha. But at the cut-in point, Hawker was I don't know if it was just like at some point he was like really spit out, and so he did have to make up. And if you're giving like these guys like steps on you that you have to make up. It's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. You don't want to give Marco and Josh Hoey and all these guys where you have to like make up extra ground. So I think that. We've talked like a lot about how once you win a gold medal, that like the target's on you, and people are almost like you either win or like you're running horribly and you should retire. But I think Cole's like finding it, and I think a huge fan of Hawker, want him to succeed. I think this was, as far as like his 800s go, I think this is a step in the right direction. It didn't seem like he was too bummed out in the mix zone afterwards. We'll see how he's feeling in the 15. Again, like Josh Kerr, I'm not like how Josh Kerr's feeling. It's like this is so the 800 when you have to race Marco once a month. I mean, it's gonna
doesn't
be
feel so good.
It's gonna be hard. Like these guys are used to winning, and you're gonna now it's a different mindset. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna beat Marco in these 800s probably unless he gets hit by a truck 600 meters in. If there
Gotta limit my losses.
If a Ford F-150 careens through Franklin Field and takes out Marco, that's the only shot these 15 guys have of beating him. And if you say, you go, well, that's perfect. Thank God this truck came. But then you're like, God damn it, Yard the Goose is just going to win this one. But I think Josh Kerr, I don't know what their strategy is, like going to the 15 tomorrow, like how to, because now it's like, okay, Josh is going to need to think about how do I make this race, so how do I win this race tomorrow? Like what's the best odds for me? Which is what makes this incredibly exciting. Like, how do you drop guys like Yard? How do you try and take Cole out of the race? So I think this is all great prep for them. Again, like each slam, these guys are looking sharper and sharper, more fit. So the 15 is shaping up to be a barn burner tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. So yesterday at the press conference, Josh Kerr pointed out that someone in the mix zone after Miami told him that it was the lowest point total of any slam champion. That was me, but I was saying it because this event feels like it's the one where it's the most different skill sets between the two events, even across like the hurdling versus the flat races. It feels like this one is the one where there's kind of the biggest and clearest divide. And so you see more of people dominating one event and then finishing 4th or 5th in the next event. So
he's really mad at you?
Yeah, Josh Kerr has beef with me.
I was like, look, dude, you won the slam.
I was
Like,
trying to make an interesting point, and then he just didn't appreciate it. But
Speaking of beef,
thanks for ruining our relationship with Josh Kerr, man. Yeah.
All right, well, let's move to the men's short sprints now. This one may be the most dominant race we saw of the night because Kenny Bednarik, he, like Allison DeSantos, makes it 5 for 5 in the short sprints category. 1995. Second place was Zarnell Hughes in 2050.
Not close at all.
Not even close at all.
He won by over half a second.
I've
never seen
in the 200.
I've never seen a 200 field of this quality be decided by that much.
And what's crazy is entering this race and this meet, a lot of people were saying, is this the opportunity for someone like Zarnell to actually potentially take down Kenny? Because we saw Zarnell at the Atlanta meet where he ran a straight 200. He ran 19.55. So it proved that he was in good form.
Yeah.
This was the only opportunity, but Kenny just like shut anything down. And coming off the curve, he was so far ahead. It was literally 2 different races, Kenny B and the rest of the field. And for him to go 19.95 and still win, like there was 0.0 wind, that just shows his dominance. And I think you spoke to him, but like coming in the mix zone, he just seemed like super confident, super chill, as if like he runs Grand Slam. Like this is his meet. He runs Grand Slam.
I mean, he was confident coming in, and he's just built that confidence, and he's earned the confidence that he has because he's just so clearly been the class of the field in that short sprints category, and obviously he's in the Racer of the Year conversation with Allison as well.
Yeah, and shout out to Zarnell Hughes though, still getting second place, so he's in a good position to at least like score points tomorrow. Aaron Brown came up really well for 3rd place. He actually ran 20.50 along with Zarnell as well. So he really showed up. Andre DeGrasse was right behind. So I think the field behind Kenny is like super competitive. Like, you know, they're interchangeable, but like Kenny is just like on another level. I do wonder, is anyone able to beat Kenny tomorrow in the 100? Or is this just like seal the deal? Just thinking,
When we spoke to Kenny in the content creator zone,
I sat down with him.
We sat down with him. He watches. Yeah, of course we did. Of course, we're so cool.
My boy Kenny.
So Kenny sits down to watch his race, and he said he wasn't sure how the track was going to feel. Everyone's talking about, you know, the bends being slightly different, the start and finish being in slightly different places than everyone's accustomed to. But we haven't seen a professional track meet at this caliber at Franklin Field before, and he was a little unsure what it was going to look like. He watched his race and was honestly like so pleased with how everything looked, and I think that's such a good sign to have an athlete feel confident, collected, watching their race back and not having a lot to nitpick on. It was great to see. As we were sitting there, are delivering the news to him that like the wind was 0.0, and that's just another piece of confidence. And we've talked about this, that athletes gaining confidence makes them really dangerous as the season goes on. Like Kenny is really feeling himself, as he should. The earned confidence. It will be interesting to see what this builds to for Kenny.
One thing about Kenny is that in pretty much every single year, he's someone who actually does get better as a year progresses, where there's been years like 2022 or 2023 where he's been injured early in the season, but he's been able to turn it on to get ready for USAs and then get ready for Worlds or Olympics. So this is just going to consistently build that confidence. And I just loved how he dominated coming off the curve in the throughout the year. He's been speaking about how he's been working on his start and how he's becoming one of the better starters in his group. And he trains with Christian Coleman, who's arguably one of the best starters like in history in the 100. So him like really dominating, this was a big race for Kenny.
Yeah, and I mean, if he got out on Christian and some of those other really strong starters in the field like this, like what he's going to be able to do in the 100 tomorrow is going to be exciting. I think.
Crazy, yeah. So I'm excited for it.
Hopefully it's a little bit warmer tomorrow than it's probably like mid to high 61 right now, probably mid to high 60s, which not the best conditions for sprinting. But I mean, Kenny breaking 20 in a race where like 1995 isn't necessarily the craziest time. But when you look at guys like Zarnell Hughes and Andre DeGrasse and Christian Coleman, like running 20.50,
you literally just named guys who all have medals from the World Championships, like either in the 100 or the 200. So it's like, yeah, he cooked a field. He cooked a really high quality.
Yeah, he
field.
didn't know he won, but when we watched it back, he was like, "Oh, I didn't know the gap that I had on these guys. Like, it really was, a completely different race."
Yeah.
You think, I guess, it's hard to say anyone other than Kenny for the 100 tomorrow. But in that 200, do you think off this race and what he did in Atlanta, do you think Zarn for picking up the 50,000 for second, I would guess?
I think Zarnell is probably the slight favorite, yeah, because he, again, even though he tied with Aaron Brown with 20.50, but because he got that second place, I think he just probably is going to slot in for the 100. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone else does pick something up. Like even a Christian Miller, he was in lane 1 in the 200 here, and the 200 is not his strong suit.
Yeah.
So he can really, show up. Even Christian Coleman hasn't had the best of seasons when it comes to actual, competitions and his placings, but he could also turn up tomorrow because he wants to show, he's still one of the best guys in terms of the 100. So
yeah,
could really do it.
Christian Miller has really good history in this stadium. 995 last summer at New Balance Outdoors. So
Yeah.
He was in those races with Christian Miller, and was it in Shanghai and Tokyo?
I think actually in Florida, and then also in Tokyo. That's
Okay.
where Christian Miller and Christian Coleman ran. So Christian Miller has been getting some experience with the professionals, and he's holding his own here. Who knows? We might see him do something special tomorrow.
Yeah. And then moving into the women's short sprints, their 200.
This was
Probably the surprise of the day, I think.
This was crazy.
Melissa
This was
Jefferson
crazy.
Wooden takes down Gabby Thomas. She dips under 22 for the first time in her career, goes 21.99.
99, yeah.
Gabby was second in 22.10. Melissa's bend on this one was crazy.
This was like, I think everyone was, of course, shocked that she beat out Gabby Thomas, right, in the 200 here. But the fact that she led off the curve and she didn't give any space to Gabby. It didn't look like Gabby was, making up any ground on Melissa. And I think that just made it so much more special. And she went under 22 seconds for the first time. This was an amazing race for Melissa Jefferson Wooden, who'd been making progress. She won in Kingston. She didn't win she won the Kingston, the 100 and the 200, came back in Miami, didn't win the 200, but won the overall slam again. Now she just won the 200. Now she has 100 tomorrow. Like this is her event. Like, it seems like she's going to sweep. Like, she seems in great form to sweep. So,
yeah. And this one was kind of similar because Melissa and Gabby ran pretty well, but then kind of similar to the men's 200 where they had a plus 1.1 wind at their back, but Tamari Davis, 22.59, Dina Asher-Smith, 22.65. So, it's another one where you see kind of an outlier time. And, Melissa ran this in conditions that, judging by the other excellent women in the field and how they ran, aren't necessarily super conducive to running really quick sprint times.
Melissa, afterwards, she had spoken about her training she's still gearing towards USA's, right? Like, that's the ultimate goal for her teammates to be able to make the team to Worlds. But she's been speaking about how she's been using these meets, in Kingston, in Miami, here in Philly, to prepare her through the season. And essentially almost like a fake practice, but a really, really important practice. So her getting out in that first half, she's listening to her coach, and it's like, all right, this is what you have to do in that first 100, then execute in the second half, right? So using these meets as preparation, but actually executing in really great ways, Melissa is showing out here. Melissa and Kenny, they're showing out.
Melissa, CITIUS Mag thanks you for making Chris Chavez's preseason prediction look good. Better and better every slam. For Gabby in this one, 22.10, she was not happy about it coming through the mix zone.
She was not. Shout out to Gabby. I tried to stop her. I said Gabby, she just walked through. In Miami, she stopped before after the when she lost in the 100. Here she wasn't. She was not happy. And I think the thing with Gabby is she probably realizes this was her strong event, right? This was the event where if she was going to win, this was going to be it. So it makes it very, very tough going into the 100 tomorrow. And essentially, she can win the 100 tomorrow, but then she'll need Melissa, Tamari to finish significantly lower to actually get the overall slam win. So it's very complicated for Gabby.
Or at least if Melissa finishes second, she need to beat her by over a tenth of a second, which I just don't see happening with the shape Melissa's been in.
It'd be tough. So yeah, I mean, Melissa's in good form. Gabby didn't look as great, but I mean, she's still in it. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now we're going back up distance. The women's 3K, I guess they're still called Slam Champions. Agnes and Gedich, despite the fact they dropped the 5K, Agnes and Gedich wins this one. Very different from the long distance races we've kind of seen previously. She wins this one in 8:43. The different part was in the time and kind of the way it was run, not the fact that Agnes went to the front early. What did you guys kind of see out of this one?
It went tactical, which was kind of fun. One interesting note is when the weather is colder, we don't necessarily see the East Africans go for it as much. And a lot of people might think like, oh, maybe the weather's suited to distance, but you kind of, if you have watched a lot of, Diamond League races early season, if the weather is cold, it goes tactile. We saw that today. And I was, clicking along my splits to see what was going to happen. At one point, Josette almost hits the front, just really tries to push Agnes and hit the front. Really great showing for Josette, really great showing for Wayne, really great showing for Elise. Just changes the narrative a bit on some athletes kind of struggling this slam, but the last lap was electric. Like, really exciting to watch Agnes and Taye just the last 60 meters shoulder to shoulder, absolutely, blades out, running and kicking each other down. It was really fun to watch.
This is the Agnes Taye last 100. It's fireworks every single time. I really liked. I loved actually the fact that it was a touch slower, a bit more tactical. But you still got the really exciting last lap. It was awesome to see. Josette made a serious a real move around 250 out. Tried to get up on and get in front of Agnes. Agnes was just too strong. Held her off. Held the turn and ended up battling Taye again down the line. But no, this was Agnes. I mean, it's great to see she's putting the work in these races, leading, having these huge performances and just barely being outkicked. She won last slam, the slam champ again.
Her range is incredible.
Fantastic range.
Yeah,
and there's
10K
her the
road
speed is now coming into to form at the right time. She's looking sharp. The races, her race savviness, the way that she was holding off the challengers, the last lap was Mo Farah-esque. Just wouldn't give it up. Wasn't letting anybody get in front of her or dictate the race that she wanted to have. And you love to see an athlete come through the line and as emotional as she is. Just so excited. She was so happy when she came through the mix zone, and big Agnes fan.
Big Agnes fan. In the mix zone, she was talking about how seriously she's taking steps forward to win these races. This isn't easy for her. She's not, a 1,500 meter racer with a lot of wheels, but she's taking. She took that loss in Kingston home and said, okay, I have to work on my speed. I want to win these races. I'm not going to rest on my road credentials. I'm going to get on the track and I'm going to work it out. And it's been amazing to see the effort that she's put in come to fruition. And I think that's part of what's behind the celebration and the excitement. It's man, the effort that I'm putting in is really paying off. It's fun to watch.
It really is.
Yeah, it was kind of, when you look at Kingston, this race was looking like it might have played out the same way, where Agnes does so much of the leading and Taye is able to get her at the end, but Agnes just holding Taye off. It was really, that one, I was able to actually come up into the stands and watch most of that one. It was electric and just emphasized, maybe more than any race, I think, just how impactful this home straight being packed full of fans was, because they were it's not like it's an American or anything, or I know Philadelphia, they have a very strong Jamaican presence here with Penn Relays. It was a Kenyan and an Ethiopian, and everyone was going crazy.
The crowd was very loud for everybody today. They brought the energy. You could really feel it. Yeah, that race. A lot of times, you would think it's just some people times they're only showing out for Americans, but it sounded like two Americans were coming down the home stretch out there. It was really, just great energy from start to finish all day today.
And then, Anderson, you got something?
Oh, well, I was gonna say, I'm just curious your thoughts on Josette Andrews, right? You mentioned she was in it and she got the third place here. I wonder, just overall, what y'all thought of her.
I mean, that
I think that's great. I think we have been celebrating Josette, and she's a great athlete. We don't always see the tactics being exactly right for Josette, but I think she showed a huge step forward today of like running confidently, being patient of, hey, I'm going to hit the front at 600. It's not going to happen. I'm going to try again at 250, but I'm not going to panic. I'm going to tuck in and I'm going to charge home. And to see her be the top American has to give her a lot of confidence for the rest of the year and for really exciting things to come. I think seeing Josette having this big comeback off of an injury cycle has been exciting. And I think that the tactics that she displayed today were a big improvement.
Oh yeah, I think she goes home like happy with this weekend. The way like you see third place and like the results don't speak for the whole race, right? Like she was very aggressive, was trying to make moves, she was in the hunt for the win. It wasn't like she had a big kick to finish third. Like she was going for the win and came up short against competitors like Agnes and Gedich and Taye. So it's something to hang your hat on. I'm sure she's going to be very and I think also like this is like the race that you want if you're Josette. Like this is great setup for something like for the U.S. Championships. Like this is more so how I would expect a race like that final to go. Something that it's not slow, but it's not completely like a barn burner, and it's going to be a very tactical. You're going to need to be sharp and very smart come the last 400. I think this is a big win for Josette today.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like Aisha said, those two moves that she made where she goes, it was on the back straight each of the last two laps, I think it was, where she makes the first move. She can't get ahead of Agnes, but then she just still stays in there and hangs in there tough. And yeah, she mentioned in the mix zone that she was expecting it to be like we saw the first couple slams, where she was expecting it to be a lot faster than it was, but then she was kind of happy with the way that it played out. She described it as kind of fartlicky. Where it was like kind of like you said, more testing for more practice and preparation for a U.S. championship kind of situation. Sure. And then Americans also went 4-5 with Wayne and Elise. And we talked a little bit on the preview show about how moving down to one race here could kind of benefit someone like Elise and Nozomi, who, you know, in Kingston and Miami, they probably weren't too happy with their races. And Elise, I think this was a big step forward where she wasn't like dropped kind of early on like we saw in some of the races in Miami, and she was in it, and Wayne passed her towards the end, but fifth is a good finish for her, and then Wayne in fourth as well.
Yeah, I think this is you know, kind of the same thing. Like I think Elise is also an athlete that's like I am glad that it's not a lot. You know, I'm glad that she was able to stick her nose in there and really race, and it's not just hanging on and just trying to hold on and survive. I think like as long as she's healthy, as long as everything's going well, like Elise is an athlete that you expect to be in the mix, making the teams. I'm sure she will be in a couple months come USA's.
Good momentum.
For sure. Great momentum, yeah.
Absolutely. So now moving to the women's long sprints. Marilady Polino comes out on top again, but big change afterwards. Salah Eid Nasser was DQ'd. Originally finished second. She ran like 49.6. Marilady won in 49.12, which in these kind of conditions with some of the times we saw in the other sprints, like that's really, really impressive. But with Salwa DQ'd, like it kind of takes some of the sting out of the 200 tomorrow, because it feels like it's kind of already a foregone conclusion. But Anderson, what did you see out of this 400?
Yeah, I think even before Sawa got DQ'd, right, it was Sawa versus Marilady, and this race actually turned out to be pretty competitive, where Sawa was leading coming off the curve into the home straight, but Marilady was close enough where you knew that, all right, and she has that arm cadence, she has that grit where it's like, all right, Marilady is not good. She does not want to lose this race. I think she really took the Kingston loss pretty personal and was like, this is never happening again. So since Miami got the win there, here in Philly, like she saw Sawa, she had her in her sights, and she just went away with the win. 49.1 is really fast. I think that might be her season's best for the year as well. So she's in some great form. And then you had Sawa got DQ. I mean, this was really wild. Like
bizarre.
It was
bizarre.
If
someone as experienced as her to end up in a different lane?
Like
how
completely different.
Yeah.
Like she ran the entire, I don't know when she cut in, which is wild in a 400 saying it. But like, I don't know when she got there, but like the entire home straight, she was in Nikisha
Nikisha's
Price's
lane.
lane. It was crazy.
The
So
photos are wild. So you see Nikisha's body like behind Sawa. Like they're in the same lane. Like what is
He's like, I'm not
happening?
used to drafting off someone.
Pacer in the
yeah,
400,
yeah.
like what's going on? So that was like wild. So yeah, she gets DQ'd. But I also want to shout out Nikisha Price because she hasn't been doing as well at some of the previous slams in Kingston, in Miami. So for her to get, ultimately second place here, that is going to bode pretty well because she actually has to go to Jamaican trials at the end of the month. So she's been gearing up and she really showed up here. So Nikisha, and then Isabella Whitaker showing up at her home track, but she got third place overall in the standings here. Like, shout out to Isabella Whitaker for really performing from Miami, where she was a challenger there, coming here to Philly and really showing up. Like, shout out to her. She really showed up.
Yeah, for Nikisha, 50.04 is like a big step forward. I think she was like 58 something in Kingston and then 57 in Miami.
Yeah.
So this is kind of getting back to the form we saw from her kind of towards the end of her collegiate career last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then was it the London Diamond League where she ran
Diamond League 48.5. Yeah. So yeah, she's been turning up into some good form. So yeah, I think this was a confidence booster for someone like Nikisha as the season kind of progresses now.
Yeah. When are Jamaican champs?
It's actually the same weekend as the
Grand
LA
Slam.
Grand
I was going to
Slam.
say, it's at the end of next month.
Yeah.
Don't we?
So yeah. I mean, I don't know I assume a lot of athletes just have to go to champs. So that'll be interesting. So we'll talk about some other athletes later, but someone like Nikisha probably wanted to show up like, all right, I know I have my championships, my national championships at the end of June. Let me make sure I put out a good performance to build that confidence for me here. So yeah, that was good.
Speaking of showing up, the men's long sprints, it's Matt Hudson-Smith. He's back on top after he said in the mix zone something really interesting where I believe what he said is he was kind of dealing with an injury that he picked up in the 200 at Miami because Jareem Richards and Alexander Ogando, who both are in 1986, got out so fast. And I think he said he was like trying to go with them, but his body just wasn't quite ready for that. Then he still ran really well in the 400 there, but didn't finish super well.
Yeah.
44.5 here. Like he's Matthew Hudson-Smith again.
He's Matthew Hudson-Smith. He's like Olympic silver medalist. I know he doesn't like, hearing that, but he is one of the best 400-meter runners in the world. And he wanted to, I feel like he wanted to prove, why he deserves to be the slam champion once again, right? He won it in Kingston, couldn't do it in Miami. He may be the slam champion again here, but 44.5 for him and was pretty comfortable against the rest of the field, ahead of Caleb, ahead of Dream. Like this was a good showing for Matthew. I liked it. I really liked him.
Yeah, he was the only man on the day under 45. So it's another one like Kenny in the 200 where it's just these massive wins.
Blowouts.
Not the most exciting races necessarily. Like, can we get some battles to the line? But I mean, 44.5, great showing from him. Caleb McRae, though, took second ahead of Miami Slam champ Jareem Richards. He ran 45.04, which he's still training with Chris Robinson, who they were teammates at Alabama last year. They're still training together now. And the seasons both of them have had has just been so impressive. Chris finished third in the 4 hurdles today.
Yeah. But Caleb, I mean, he came off, I remember he was at World Relays out in China, and he had run, I think he split 43 seconds on his 4x4 split. So he's in some great form, getting second place here, like you said, ahead of Dream Richards, ahead of Muzala Samakonga, ahead of like all these guys who are like literally top 400 meter guys in the world. That I know is going to build some confidence going into the 200 for tomorrow. And just overall as like someone who's newer on the circuit, newer, competing against some of these top guys, like that's a big performance for him.
And about the 200, I asked him, what kind of confidence does this build for him tomorrow? And he just said he's ready to surprise people again tomorrow. So I'm looking forward. We might see Alexander Ogando and Jareem Richards are both still in this field. So they might kind of be the top of the class, given that they are truly world-class 200 runners as well. Yeah. But for those 400 guys, and like Caleb, if he beats Matt Hudson-Smith, because Matt won, it's going to be tough with the 12 points.
It'll be tough. And I'll also say, going back to Kingston, Matthew Hudson-Smith won the 200 there. Yeah. So I think he has a lot of untapped potential in the 200 that might come out tomorrow. Now, I don't know if he's beating Jareem or Alex Ogando if they're in their Miami form, but the 200 is going to be very, very competitive with all these guys.
Yeah, that one's going to be really fun to watch tomorrow.
Yeah.
And now we're going up to the final distance race of the day. We had the women's short distance 1500 for this one. Daribe Walteji and Jess Hull battling to the line. Super exciting race. This one was like the 3K was a little slower than we had seen out of these fields at the first two slams. This one was a lot faster than we had seen in the 1500s. They both go 3:58. Walteji gets the win in 3:58.04. Hull was 3:58.36. What did you guys kind of see out of this race that, like, it was a really fun one to watch?
What was cool was that Daribe Walteji and Jess Hull came to the track today with the same idea without discussing it. They both wanted to make it an honest race to explore their fitness and say, okay, if I give a full effort for all 3 3/4 laps, what does that look like at this part of the season? So we see Daribe take it out the first 400. Jess Hull takes over when she feels the pace lag, and the two of them just stirring out for 3:58 flat and 3:58.36. It was really exciting to see. The second pack was also really compelling between Abby, Georgia, and Nikki. They were all really battling out a lot of lead changes in that pack. So I think it was exciting, just exciting to see an honest 15. We talked about it in the pre-show that the only way that Nikki doesn't win the slam, or that maybe Georgia doesn't win the slam, is if it's I said 350, but I didn't know it would be 3:58 today, but just a full honest effort, and that's what we saw today.
Yeah, I thought it was I think really, really exciting race. Really, it was fast. Like, when you see an athlete like Nikki get gapped, it's hard. I mean, this was a really big step forward for Jess, in my opinion. Like, this is an athlete who, Olympic silver medalist last year, and she hasn't quite looked to be in the same shape in the past two slams. So to see her come out and really, really hard effort, like she did all the work. Like, she really laid it out there, and was. You just couldn't quite run the legs off Walteji, but everybody else, was nowhere in the picture. I thought that was, I'm sure this, like, Jess, and we were able to talk to Jess afterwards, and she was like, yeah, this is a good step forward. Like, I didn't get the win. Obviously, I want the win, but happy. She was definitely happy with the result, as she should have been. Like, this was a really good, honest race. Like, 3:58, that's a fast time. So yeah, I thought it was a really, really exciting race. I'm excited to see how all these athletes come back for the 8 tomorrow. It looked like Nikki had a little bit of KT tape on the hammy. I don't know what that means. Are they Clayton Young? Are they Clayton Murphy? Not great. But if the 8's going to be exciting.
Yeah, what are you guys kind of expecting in the 8? Because the 8 has been fast. I think both the slams were won in 1:58. But you have Nikki they won the Kingston 8, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Georgia obviously has that 1:56 from last year.
Where did Georgia finish today?
Georgia
fourth.
was
Okay.
Fourth. This is going to be interesting. We saw Mary Moore. I mean, I sort of alluded to this with Marco of, some 800-meter runners are really trying to tune in this 1500, really trying to figure out this event. Mary's like, nope.
Well, also 3:58. Like, this sucks, man. I hate this event.
Yeah.
She did this exact same. I mean, she did this exact same thing a month ago and won the 800.
True.
So I do think that Mary is gonna be the one. I think she can do the exact same thing. I think that, like, she just doesn't quite have the strength for these 15s, and at some point she realized, like, okay, like, I do want to win this 15, or I do.
I want to be into the 15.
She's gonna.
She
Yeah.
a little.
She wants to win the 8. She wants to just finish the 15.
Yeah.
She runs an 8 and then she jogs a 700 at the end.
Yeah, no, she like, I do think Mary, especially because she won last slam. I think it's going to be the same thing. I don't know necessarily is she going to be able to hold on and win again, but I do think she will be. I at least
go
in
for
contention.
it.
Yeah, she'll
Yeah,
go
she'll
for
go
it.
for it.
She'll set the pace and at least be in contention to win. Will she be able to hold off? Will Georgia Bell, will Georgia Hunter Bell be like more up there in the mix? Will Jess be able to figure, like, Jess needs to like figure out the 8 a bit and get a little bit closer up to the front to be able to come away with the slam victory. So do I think like Jess could pull out enough to secure the win tomorrow? Like, yeah, possibly. If someone's like Nikki isn't 100%, you can't rule it out. But yeah, it's I kind of like the 2-day format. I think it's working for me. I like it.
Yeah, and Jess made an interesting point in the content creator zone that this is great practice for specifically world championships. The 1500 doesn't have the rest day between the prelim and the semi. They have to go back to back. So Jess was talking about this from the standpoint of, all right, what a great opportunity to practice, closing in 201 and then having to run a 2 flat 800 the next day. Like, that's really how the 1500 meters is run at a global championship. So it's smart on her part to see all of these opportunities and say, like, all right, what skill can I work on to make me better at my craft? I love when you're watching an athlete work things out in real time and have a future eye of what can I get out of this besides a whole bag of money. I can be better at so many things.
Yeah, so now going to tomorrow, if I'm Daribe Olateji, I am Mary Morat's biggest fan, because if Mary wins, the math says it would take an absolute disaster for Daribe to not win the slam. And then, so that wraps up the distance, and the last two, we had the short hurdles groups going.
Mm-hmm.
The men's short hurdles lost a little bit of firepower with Sasha pulling out of this one. But you had Cordell Tinch, Trey Cunningham, really exciting names, but it's Jamal Britt.
With
who
the
comes
upset.
out 13:08. Takes the win
of a
here.
second off his PB, and from the inside lane, like, he upset this field. Everyone's eyes were on Cordell Tinch because he had run the 4th, became number 4 all time in the hurdles earlier this season. He won 2 Diamond League races. He was in Kingston, but all that happened after. Then Trey Cunningham comes to Miami, sweeps both the hurdles and the 100, and he runs 13 flat. But Jamal Britt on the inside pulls the upset, running 13:08. I mean, and even it was close at the end, right? It was Jamal and it was Cordell Tinch, and it was had to be separated by kind of a photo or whatever. But
13:08 to 13:10.
13:10. So yeah, 200ths of a second. I mean, this was a big win for Jamal. Very big win.
And it was, he closed really well because it looked like halfway through the race, it looked like, oh, it's going to be Cordell. Like, Cordell was ahead of Trey. And then, like you said, Jamal was in either lane 2 or 3, I think. Yeah. And he spoke a little bit in the mix zone about how he feels like he's not really much of a sprinter. And I took that as kind of, I believe that's what, I hope I'm not misquoting him. That would be really embarrassing. But
Yeah,
he talked about,
you said you suck.
he talked about how his strength is coming out of the 5th hurdle and closing. And so we really saw that on full display today as he kind of ran down, it looked like, at least, Cordell and Trey to the line. Yeah. So that was really impressive out of him.
That was impressive. And I'll say that, like, it makes it very challenging now for going into the 100 because Jamal Britt, he's probably outside of Trey, I think he's the second best 100-meter sprinter in the field.
He was second in Miami.
He's run 10.2. And now Trey finishing 3rd place means that, all right, Jamal got this win. Jamal's probably going to finish really high tomorrow in the 100. So he may actually take this entire slam because, it may be... Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, but this was a good win for Jamal.
Yeah, the math is kind of tough for Trey after 13:08 for 3rd today. But Cordell could mix it up in the 100. I think he ran a windy personal best.
Yeah, he ran a windy
10.2
or 10.3.
Yeah, so he's not, and obviously like his long jump career when he was at Pittsburgh State, he's got speed. He's got flat speed, so he could definitely kind of mix it up there.
Yeah.
In the 100
let me not disparage Cordell Tinch in any way. Like he's definitely in the conversation for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that one will be really fun to watch. But another one fun to watch, you've got the women's short hurdles. This one saved it for last because they had Sydney dropping down in distance, taking on she's raced the 100 hurdles in previous years, but she's never run against a field of this quality. Yeah. And she finished 5th, which has Sydney ever finished 5th in anything in her life? Like, I don't know. But it's Akira Nugent takes the win here in 12:44. And another one where, like, we saw the hurdles were a little quicker. Like, Jamal running 13:08, Akira running 12:44. But with the conditions, still a really impressive showing from him.
Yeah, and she ran it for Akira. She ran into a headwind of negative 0.4. So, and she kind of like second best Tia Jones was 12.6. So this was another kind of like gap the field situation for Akira Nugent.
Yeah.
One interesting thing that I realized, or that after speaking with some of the athletes, Akira and I think Megan Tapper, they mentioned that like having Sydney in the race, like that presence, they were thinking about it, right? Like athletes, they love to sometimes say like, oh, I'm focused on my lane, specifically sprinters. I'm focused on my lane. I'm focused on my 10 hurdles. But they were open, like having Sydney dropping down really kind of like, not necessarily got in their head, but they were thinking like, okay, this is someone else in the race. But for Akira to really like show up in this race, get the win, this also makes it interesting for the 100 tomorrow, because we know she's really strong. But Sydney, I think getting 5th place, and I think you spoke to her, she said that she had a good start and an execution. Wow, she ran 12.7, which is her second fastest time in her entire career. So she showed up here. She really showed up.
Yeah, she was happy with her start, she said, and that kind of built confidence for her going into tomorrow. And a lot of people have been talking about, I think pretty much based off her 22.07 last year at the LA Grand Prix, that like she could be the class of the field in the 100, but Akira Nugent, like she has unbelievable 100-meter credentials, as we saw in Miami. So
do you think that Sydney wins the 100 tomorrow?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
You think Akira?
I think Akira goes like, well, I mean, with this, it's hard to say like a time because we don't know what the conditions would be. But I mean, I think Akira can run like 11:1,
11:1
less again.
Or
Like I think Sydney can run like 11:12, 11:13 maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, because Sydney's in.
Do you think Sydney's gonna win?
No, I think Akira's gonna win.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
Come on.
I asked you.
Anderson's like, whoa.
Whoa!
Yeah, I agree.
He's like, Paul, man, what is wrong with
I
you?
wanted to hear.
Yeah.
No. But I mean, so in
Like, no way. Oh, no, man. You crazy? Of course not going to win. Although, it's crazy out here. I think I'm about to get
I
I'm about to get pneumonia.
I know, like, I don't know if it's coming on camera. I'm shivering.
Back-
Like,
back-
I'm talking through this, but I'm like powering through.
It's the last race. Don't worry,
I
guys.
It's the
keep
last
trying
one.
to
Yeah.
have Eric vlog the win for me, but
I know.
he keeps scooting.
Is anyone's body just shutting down? Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's not sprinting leather,
I
so
know.
we'll see what happens
I
tomorrow.
mean, this is like a 10
No one's lining up tomorrow,
right
guys.
now.
It's hell out here.
We gotta get him in the 100 on this straightaway.
Yeah, like
right now.
give him 10.0 or whatever this tailwind is. Like Sydney will run like
I think it's
don't
about to
know.
start snowing. Honest to God, man.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it plays out for tomorrow with the women's 100. So it was good.
That's gonna be a good one. That kind of closes out our races.
Thank God.
I only asked Anderson earlier. For you two, what were your favorite races of the day?
Women's 15.
I do think the women's 15 was really good. Women's 15. I loved seeing the women's 3K. Thought that was really exciting.
Pick one.
Don't yell at. Don't. Don't. Okay. I'll go women's 15. I think that was fun.
What are
All right,
we?
now you go.
I already went.
Yeah, Aisha was like,
Yeah.
quiet.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said women's 15.
Oh, I said the same thing as her. I'll have to
Twinsies.
switch. Yeah, it's like at the restaurant. You can't order the same thing one after the other. I'll go. I'll say women's 3. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say you guys are most excited for on Sunday?
Men's 15.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll order. I will order the same thing. I'll be brave. I can't even talk anymore because
Anderson?
my teeth are chattering.
For me, for tomorrow, it's probably gonna be it's actually the women's 400 in the long hurdles, because that event is like really wide open with Anna, with Jasmine, Dalila. That's the one I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, Paul, what are you looking forward to?
Okay. 4 hurdles or women's long hurdles is a really good answer. I think the men's flat 100 in the short hurdles is going to be really fun, because Trey, like he has so much confidence. I don't think this did that much to really ding that. And like Aisha was talking about, just how important confidence really is.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he's going to come in maybe a little bit of a chip on his shoulder now after finishing third in the hurdles today. So like it might not necessarily, if Jamal finishes second, like Trey isn't going to win the slam, but I think he could really make a statement tomorrow.
Yeah. Be good.
Can we? Let me just give you a little tip for something tomorrow while you're watching Grand Slam. I had a watermelon lime olipop today. It was fire.
You did talk about it a lot.
I did talk about it a lot. Like I milked it. Like I sipped it for like 2 hours straight because I didn't want it to end. It doesn't have to end with code CITIUS25 for 25% off.
Good work with
olipop.
that. Yeah, really. Yeah,
Nice.
it doesn't need to end.
Flawless.
You can keep
segue.
those watermelon limes flowing.
And also shout out to Garmin. We crushed our morning run with the Garmin 970. We might, this is getting a little long. We might have to hit the flashlight on the Garmin feature on our way out of here because it's
should
getting
hire
dark.
you.
But
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I really, you are awesome. Yeah, nice work. Yeah.
All right, well, that's all we've got for day one here in Philly. Chris, our perennial wedding
No, he's back.
our perennial wedding
Eric's like,
guest,
"Who's
Chris
Chris?"
Chavez,
Yeah.
will be back tomorrow night. Tune into the morning show. You guys have Isaiah Harris
Yes, we
joining
do.
you.
I believe so. Yeah.
Morning show was a banger today. Some big revelations if you guys
It was
haven't
a
heard.
banger.
So
Yeah.
there's a poll on CITIUS Mag's Instagram that you guys should go vote on.
Please weigh in.
But yeah, that's all we've got. I guess I'll steal Chris's. I stole his shirt basically. I'll steal Chris's line too and say, I love slamming.
Love
I
slamming.
love slamming.
Love
Nice
slamming.
job, Paul.
I
You
love it.
absolutely killed it.
Crushed it.
They'll see you tomorrow. I won't.
Yeah.